The great advantage of this plugin, it means that things are refactored and separated out into admin, includes the public section. Remember, these folders down here are custom ones. These top four are what comes with the boilerplate. But that can also mean that it can be quite tricky to know where things are going. So in this video, we're just going to see how we set up our initial global constants and our hooks. So when the plugin first loads, index.php for security silence is golden. The plugin name that we see here, because our plugin is called IWS Events DB. If we look in here and scroll down, we see the very first things it's sort of doing is setting up some global constants, and we're adding our own custom ones here for plugin paths and URLs and base files. We can see it then initiates the activate. Basically what's happening on activation, if we look in this file here, which is this one here. Let's close that, close that, close that, close that. So if we click on this, we can see that that's basically where that file gets loaded in. The name of the file is IWS Events DB. So when we're in here, we can actually see that that's actually gets fired there, and the same with deactivation. The file used is this one here. And now you can sort of see how basically it loads in this very important one here in the includes, because when it does that, it creates an instance of that class and then runs that setup function. So once we've gone in here, we'll end up in this folder here, this includes folder with the events DB. And basically then when we come down here in the constructor, it's setting up version names. I'm using the global constant here, other than this standard one that comes with a template. It has the plugin name and has load dependencies, set locales, and defines all the different hooks. So that's where it will fire off from there. And you can see it's loading dependencies. And in this case, we're adding some custom ones ourselves. But it goes through and loads in all of these different files here. The loader, the internationalization, the admin one, that's in the admin folder, the public folder. And we can also add in our own one here, for example, when we create our own class in the admin folder for our REST routes. This is where we can basically wire in that class so it's available. And then you can see that the loader is fired, and when nothing else custom is in this one, when we go then to the loader is just basically set up. We don't do anything in this. It sets up to run through all the hooks and basically fire them off. So that's the initial instructions. So going back to our template, if we look at our folder here, we can see in the includes that this is one of the most important files here. And when we come back down here in the original plugin file, this is where we load in our custom constants, the global constants, and we can see here how this fires off the class plugin name, in which case ours is IWS Events. This is how it fires it off here, so that when we actually go into that folder, we can then begin to see in the constructor it fires all its dependencies, the locale, the hooks and publics, and that really sets up all of our functionality. And bearing in mind, remember that when we go into our plugin file, the other thing it does do is it sets up the activation and deactivations by registering them, and the files and the functions are in these two folders here. So we'll leave that to another video, but that's basically how we wire up and get cracking with our hooks, our global constants, and loading in any of the dependencies that we may use later on.